back to it. Getting through it. As I've shared each week, I want to make this statement. Crisis will never leave you the same way it found you. It'll never leave you the same way it found you. It'll never leave you where you were. It will always change you, positive or negative. There is some effect that is going to happen. And as I've said in prior weeks, every crisis is an opportunity. Every crisis is an opportunity. Every single one of them. Everything that we go through, everything we face, COVID-19, the civil unrest that our nation is experiencing right now, racial unrest, all this stuff, everything that's going on, all the dilemmas, all the troubles, all the trauma, the struggles, everything is an opportunity. Everything is an opportunity. Now, I want to read to you guys James chapter 1, 2 through 4. This is a familiar text. This is in the Passion Translation. It says this, "My fellow believers, when it seems as though you are facing nothing but difficulties, see it as an invaluable opportunity to experience the greatest joy that you can." That seems so contrary. And the NIV says, it talks about, considering it pure joy whenever you face trials of many kinds. In verse 3 it says, "For you know that when your faith is tested, or when your faith passes the test, it stirs up power within you to endure all things. And then, as your endurance grows even stronger, it will release perfection into every part of your being until there is nothing missing and nothing lacking." Until there is nothing missing and nothing lacking. There is something so incredibly challenging in my own thoughts and in those who are here and those who are watching your thoughts. That how can difficulties and challenges be invaluable? As it's an opportunity. And I know that experiences, difficulties, challenges are invaluable. That's one thing. But to say that they can bring the greatest joy you can have. The greatest joy that you can. It will experience the greatest joy that you can. That just seems so contrary to thought. And the perfection that it releases into you, that nothing missing, there is nothing lacking, that there is an endurance that grows. Let me pray. Father, I thank you so much for your word. I pray, God, right now, that as I begin to speak, that it would flow out of the beauty of this preserved book we call the Bible. God, that it would be so empowering, not because the eloquence of this individual speaking right now, but because the Bible is powerful. It is alive and it changes lives. It does things that we cannot even begin to think or ponder or conjure up on our own. Lord, I thank you for your word. As we move forward in this message, may we be profoundly affected. Amen. Amen. Crisis is hard. Now the word sounds weak, but by no means is its affliction weak. Okay, crisis is hard. Now here's some things that we should probably know already, okay? When we are facing crisis, it is disorienting, it is threatening, and at times it's unrelenting. Like when a crisis comes, so many of us, we were not prepared. We were not planning. We did not know this was coming, right? We didn't know that we were going to be suddenly affected by a virus. I'll be honest with you. Going back to the beginning stages of all of this, I thought that it was just kind of like, this increased fear and, these news media outlets were trying to scare people. And I know that there is an element of that to all of this. But I had no idea what was coming. And I saw it happen in other countries, but I'm like, no, this is America. We're not going to, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. How negligent and, naive I was. And so, when we face these trials, when we immediately are confronted with crisis, it's disorienting. We're just like, whoa, what happened? The sudden loss of somebody we love, the sudden news that we're going to get a divorce, the sudden plummet of our finances, whatever crisis that we face, the sudden need for your child to have stitches. I mean, all of those things are suddenly disorienting. All right? And then they threaten. They're menacing. They're intimidating. They're terrorizing. They're frightening. And then they're unrelenting. The thing that's challenging about crisis is at times, man, it's immediate. It's over. It's done. It's gone. It's finished. Like you face the crisis and you're on your way. Other times crisis hits and it's 3 months later. I mean, here we are in June. Like, whoa, what happened? Like I thought this was going to be over in a couple of weeks. I thought we were going to be meeting as a church again more soon than this. But here we are finally getting together in June. Like who knew that it was going to take this long? And sometimes this crisis that we're in right now, it's unrelenting. And it seems like we are in, just a melting pot. That seems like a word that's not right for this. We are in a place where everything in this nation is just, there's an uprising of unrest. It's like things that were existent within are just bubbling over. And there is anger, and there is rage, and there is violence. But at the same time, all right, God is speaking and saying justice and mercy and love need to win out. There are these things that are happening, but God is moving. We see in the media, we see on our news feeds, our social media, we see all the things that would make us scared and make us think that things that aren't positive, that aren't good, that aren't happening in an incredible way. We could think that those things aren't happening, but they're actually just kind of there's an attempt to place them underneath the surface. Like there's an attempt to put them in a place where people can't see them. I would challenge you to look for it. In the face of a virus like this, I've watched generosity and benevolence increase. I mean, it's just been powerful. Like people have just been there for each other. Though we have had to socially distance or physically distance, as I like to call it. We're not socially distancing, we're physically distancing. Okay, though we've had to do that, people have been incredible. They have given, they have responded to others' needs, they have done things, they've done, like when I was a kid, ding dong ditch was not a good thing. But now, like, you give a quick knock or a ding dong and someone opens the door and you're all the way out at your car and they see this huge gift on their porch and they're like, what, wait, how, and they're just like so amazed by kindness. So amazed by kindness. And so, crisis is an experience where we alone or together are exposed to threats that are at our limits or that are too much to handle. As we said, they're beyond our ability to overcome. When we face crisis, like a crisis like this, or a crisis that just really shakes us to the core, a crisis that really rattles us, it's just too much. It's too much. We're at our limits. We don't think that we can overcome it. We don't think we can handle it. Now, I know that people have said before that people have said before, God won't let anything happen to me that's too much to handle. Bull. I mean, God is in the business of making us able to handle things that we could never have handled on our own, right? I mean, life is all about being confronted with things that we can't handle. Like to say, well, God won't give me anything that I can't handle is like saying, God, I appreciate that you're looking out for me. I appreciate that you're making sure that you guard things because I can handle them on my own. No. That's not how it works. That's not who God is. God is saying, whatever happens, whatever comes your way, whatever takes place in your life, I'm going to help you. And so we come to this place where it's just too much. It's just too much. As Psalm 34:19 says, the righteous person faces many troubles, but the Lord comes to the rescue each time. The Lord comes to the rescue each time. The right person, people of faith, people who are doing God's work, that there are things that we will face. We will face troubles, but the Lord comes to the rescue each time. 3 things that I want to mention this morning. Number 1, crisis is pervasive, but God is present. Crisis is pervasive, but God is present. Pervasive is like an unwelcome influence or physical effect. It's spreading widely throughout an area. It's always present. It's always there. Crisis is pervasive. It just pushes and shoves into our space. It shoves into our comfort zones. It shoves itself into our homes. It shoves itself into our relationships. I have seen in my own family honestly, I've seen in my own family strained relationships right now because we are quarantined into our homes. Now, I know that everybody perceived that the Frank family was perfect. And, I mean, I am leading the house, so it's near perfect. But we are leading the house. It's going to be imperfect in a minute here. But, all right, it's been pervasive. We've been in lockdown. We've been in lockdown. People have been upset. Like the whole learning experience has changed. The whole learning experience has changed. Like our kids that went to school and experienced school learning at school were suddenly told that they had to stay home, and then they had to discover how to learn at home. And not just that, but missing out on the social experience of school. I mean, I know that learning is critical. Learning is yes, I'm saying learning is critical. But one of the components that you experience at school that is so vital is the social engagement. And even for those that are homeschooled, there is this social experience that can happen. I mean, my son is homeschooled right now, but they would go to different things. It was really cool. They would go rock climbing. They would have open gym over at Coloneltown. They would, he would do sports, different things like that would create opportunity for social engagement. But suddenly, that was taken away. And then there's this pervasive thing that's just like you're stuck in your home. You're stuck in your home. Isaiah 63:9 says, in all their distress, he too was distressed. In his love and mercy, he redeemed them. He lifted them up and carried them all the days of old. Sometimes when we experience this pervasive crisis, it may feel like God is absent. It is the desperateness of our own emotions that make us feel like we are on our own, that we are alone. This pervasiveness of struggle, this issue, and I know we're talking about a virus, but now it's just exponentially developing into all different things. We've been so concentrated on a virus for so long, and then all of a sudden something happened and it's explosive. And just wow, civil unrest. Our country in a lot of ways is in chaos. And it's not just what's going on with this, the struggles of racism that's been put on display in a very real way. There are other things going on. I mean, people are talking about murder hornets. Seriously. Seriously. I mean, what does the Bible tell us? Wars and rumors of wars, pestilence, right? I mean, there's all these things that are, appears to be invading and being pervasive, but we need to know that God is present. God is present. We may not be immediately extracted from the situation. We may not be immediately extracted from the situation, but you better believe that in the situation, in every dilemma, every trouble, every circumstance, everything that we go through, God is with us. He is present. He is very much alive, and he is very much powerful. And there is no place that we go that he is not. That's why the Bible says that he's omnipresent. That means that you could be in the darkest, most dreary of lonely moments, and God is there. God is there. Yes. In Psalm 56:8, it says, you have seen me tossing and turning through the night. You have collected all my tears and preserved them in your bottle. You have recorded every one in your book. Why are our tears so important? Because God is so fixated on us, so concerned with us, that every single detail about our lives is important to him. He's saying to you, what makes you cry matters. So much so that I'm going to collect your tears in a bottle. I don't know how that's going to play out later on or in eternity. I just know that the things that make me cry matter to him. And the process of going through is a precious one. You're not alone. You are not alone. You are not alone. When a child wakes up in the middle of the night, and this has happened in my own home sometimes more frequently than I would like, but when a child wakes up and they shout out the name of mom or dad, okay? When they shout it out, what's happening? Man, I'm up on my feet, wobbling all around, maybe smacking right into a door. I don't know. But I'm like, by the time I hit the kitchen area and I'm moving, my feet are a little more steady, and I break into a room, and it's at that moment that my child realizes I was afraid, and I was nervous, and I was scared, but I am not alone. I am not alone. Crisis may be pervasive. If you've yet to know the power of God's love, it might be that you have never asked to know it, expectant of an answer. Number 2, crisis is persistent, but God is purpose. Crisis is persistent. It is continually, it is firmly, it's obstinate. It is obstinate. You guys ever face an obstinate child? You guys ever faced an obstinate child? You guys ever faced an obstinate spouse? I'm talking about myself, just saying. I'm talking about me, all right? I'm talking about me, all right? Whew. It's getting a little warm in here. But like, crisis is obstinate. It's obstinate. It just continues. Life seems confusing and random at times. Life is often confusing. We often don't see the bigger pattern, the bigger purpose, the bigger plan. And so we go through these issues, we go through these struggles, and just crisis persists. You turn on the news, there it is. You get on your social media feed, there it is. You turn off all of those things. You get a phone call or text message, there it is. You walk out into your communities, like some of us, we feel like in this area we would have been insulated from this crisis, all the crises that are going on in our nation, but we're not. It's making its way, and it's becoming present. And crisis is persistent. It's just aggressive. It's obstinate. You can push away from it. You can try to distance yourself from it. You can try to get away from it, but it just keeps coming. It keeps coming. It keeps coming. It keeps coming. Nahum 1:3 says this: "The Lord has his way in the whirlwind and in the storm." He has his way. He has his way. What is this saying to us? God has a path for himself charted through the tornado of life. If we cling to him, we'll get through. Torrential rain and the wind of a storm have a way of stripping the frail things away and revealing what is withered and weak. And the flashes of lightning expose so much. It also makes us realize how desperately we need him. We were planting some trees. We got 2 apple trees and a pear tree. I'm so excited. But we were planting them, and like it caused a reminder of sorts, if you will. There's this tree that's been laying down out right near the wood line on this side of the house. What was this, a year ago or 2 years ago, Kelly? It was in October. Okay, so we had this massive storm. I don't know if you guys remember this massive storm. This storm that caused like there was a deer that just like jumped out of the woods and just moving fast. But I went outside to do a couple of things to get ready. I was pulling the car out of the garage so that my wife could leave to take the kids to school. And I was walking outside, and this tree. That's right. She couldn't get the garage to open. And so I'm walking outside, and I hear this brittle crack. And all of a sudden, I see this tree coming. And I'm like, which way, which way, which way, which way? Okay? I felt... It was windy anyway, but I felt the breeze of that tree. I'm not kidding. It was probably like this close to hitting me. And if you look at the tree, there were like branches that were kind of spiked out. And I'm like, man, that could have taken me out. Like, seriously, that could have taken me out. Like, I could have been done, over, finished. That's it. And so we were planting these trees on Friday, and I'm like, yeah, let's do this. You know, this is the first time my son wielded an axe, okay? My wife wasn't very close by, so that was good. But, no, he did a really good job. But I'm like, nope, you know, should I get the chainsaw? No. I'm gonna take this thing down with an axe. You know, I was okay, too. I'm a solid, strong guy. Back me up, honey, okay? So like this tree though, I'm like, I'm gonna knock it, I'm gonna break it off into pieces, I'm gonna throw it into the woods. And as I'm breaking this tree apart, as I'm cutting it into pieces, I'm noticing how brittle it is now. And imagining how brittle it was. For the wind to be able to blow, and it was a strong wind, but for the wind to be able to blow and knock it over like that, it was an indication that that tree would not stand the pressure and the test of what had come. You see what I'm saying? Like as I was moving that tree back into the woods, it was a reminder, a constant reminder to me that there are winds that are going to blow, that are going to reveal the frailty of my life and show to me just how desperately I need God so that my root system is strong and so that I'm capable of resisting whatever comes my way. You see, in Romans 8:28, we know that all that happens to us is working for our good if we love God and are fitting into his plans. If we love God, all things work together for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. That happens. That happens. Yes, crisis is persistent. It is frustrating. It is aggravating. You shove back and it shoves back. Sometimes you feel like you gain some ground, and then it suddenly shoves back at you, and you lose ground. You lose ground. But crisis, though persistent, God has purpose. Though persistent, God has purpose in it. He has purpose in it. In 1 Corinthians 10:13, it says this: God keeps his promise. And he will not allow you to be tested beyond the power to remain firm. And the time you are put to the test, at that time you are put to the test, he will give you the strength to endure it and so provide you with a way out. Now, some of us, we look at this scripture and we're like, okay, like I can overcome anything. It's talking about sin. Let's be real. It's talking about sin. You want to talk about getting through a crisis? You want to talk about being locked in your home for a long time? You want to talk about the poor moral decisions that you can begin to make when you're tired? Exhaustion has a way of revealing where you're weak. It just does. Where you're going to fail. And God is saying right here, look, you are going to face temptation. You are going to face struggle. Crisis is going to come at you, and you're going to be able to stand the test. Though we are tested beyond your power to remain firm, at the time you are put to the test, he will give you the strength to endure it. Number 3, crisis is potent, but God gives power. Crisis is potent. What is potent? Potent often means having great power, influence, or effect. It is potent. It is potent. It can saturate into every part of our lives. It could create pain. It could create distress. It could create trouble. But God gives power. Ephesians 3:16 says, I pray from his glorious, unlimited resources, he will empower you with inner strength through his Spirit. You become stronger than what you stand up against. You become stronger than what you stand up to. When you face crisis and it's potent, man, it's saturating into every part of your life, and you cry out to Christ. I mean, when crisis comes, you begin to find out what you're made of. And you cry out to him. You're like, I need you, God. I need your help. I need your support. I need your strength. And you cry out to him. And you will begin to discover the power he gives you. The power he gives you in your moments of distress, in your moments of confusion, in your moments of doubt, in your moments of fear. He will come to you and you will be empowered. All the challenge before you. And greater than the power that is within you, his Spirit's temple. Do you realize that the Bible tells us that we are a temple of his Spirit? That means that he lives within us. He lives within us. Whoa. The same power that resurrected Christ from the grave, right, is in you. Watch out, crisis. I mean, you may come at me, and you may control the environment that I'm in, but you're not going to overpower me and create fear in my life. You're not going to overpower me and overwhelm me. You're not going to create anxiety so debilitating that it's going to keep me from living. Okay? Now, don't misunderstand me, okay? Some of us, we need help, extra help. Go to a doctor, okay? Don't misunderstand what I'm saying there, okay? Don't misunderstand that. But God gives power. He gives power from his unlimited resources. Isaiah 46:4 says, even to your age, old age, and gray hairs, I am he. I am he who will sustain you. I have made you, and I will carry you. I have made you, and I will carry you. I will sustain you, and I will rescue you. What's most important in times of crisis is not all the compiled skill sets, ideas, and steps through which we overcome. It's not the how, it's not the what, it's not the why, it's about who. Oh man. I could give you a list of things to do. Just like, do this, do this, do this, do this. Wow, that's great, Pastor. Man, I feel better, I feel stronger, I feel healthier, I can get through this. No. It is about Jesus. Every single time he is the answer. He will always be the answer. There is no other answer other than him ever. And though we may find ourselves in crisis, coming up with all of these different ideas, all these concepts, all these cool, innovative thoughts to break free from it, at the end of the day, man, at the end of the day, through all your lists, all your perfectly shaped and formed thoughts and skill sets, at the end of the day, it is about Christ. Is it about Jesus? It is about Jesus. There's an acronym that I heard for the word tears. And I love this acronym because crisis just affects us in such a hard way. Crisis is this virus. Crisis is civil unrest. Crisis is people dying. Crisis is all these different things. Crisis is unrest in your home. It's divorce. It's job loss. It's all these different things. Crisis. You put a face or a title or a name where your crisis is, and it'll cause tears. So tears. Take on the reality of your situation. Just take it on. This is it. This is where I am. This is what's going on. This is what's happening. This is where it is. I am right here in this moment. Express your pain and emotions. Express the pain and emotions that you feel. All right? This is reality, and it hurts. This is where I am, and it's painful. This is where I am, but I don't feel like I can take any more, God. This is where I am. I'm tired of being locked in my house. I'm tired of feeling lost. I'm tired of feeling alone. I'm tired of missing my spouse. I'm tired of the heartbreak of divorce. I'm tired of the shattered relationship of my family. I'm tired, and I need help. Adjust to your new environment. Yeah, I'd like God to just pull me out. Like, hey, God, I'm in trouble. I need help. Here, let me just move you forward right out of it. No. This is the reality of the situation. This is how it makes me feel, and this is my new environment. All right? This is it. This is where I am. This is what's going on. Reinvest in your new callings, and you discovered and have. I love this, okay? Like I said before, crisis never leaves you the way it has found you, positive or negative. Crisis is an opportunity. Crisis is a gift, and we can overcome crisis and become stronger and better for it. And S, stand up to fear and discouragement to overcome. Stand up to fear and discouragement to overcome. In John 16:25 through 33, I love this text. It says this. I've spoken to you, using figurative language. But the time has come when you will I no longer teach you with veiled speech. And the disciples are like, okay, what's going on? No more metaphors. I'm just going to tell you straight. And God comes to this point. In verse 33, it says, and everything I've taught you is so that you have peace, which is in me, which is in me will be in you, and will give you great confidence as you rest in me, For in this unbelieving world, you will experience trouble and sorrows, but you must be courageous, for I have conquered the world. I have conquered the world. In other words, there is peace. Peace is resting in his victory. Peace is resting in his victory. As we close service this morning, just a couple questions I want to ask you. Just going to kind of whittle them down to a few things. Are you experiencing trouble? Have you experienced his presence? Have you discovered the greater cause or purpose of this moment? Like, where are you at? Where are you at? Where are you at? Have you experienced his presence? Where are you at? Where are you at? Have you experienced his greater purpose? Where are you at? Have you experienced his power? Have you experienced his power? Let him empower you. You can get through this. Not you alone. Not you alone. But you with Christ. Father, I thank you for this morning. I thank you for the privilege to be able to gather again, and I pray for every person that's not able to be with us this morning. God, I pray that you would encourage every single ear that this message lands in. Lord, that your word would be powerful, that it would change life, that it would be, as your word says, empowering, that it would be alive. Lord, thank you. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for your mercy. Thank you for your grace. Thank you for your strength. And at the end of the day, help us to realize that you overcame the world. You are our overcomer, and we can face anything because of you. We can face anything because of you. Lord, as we bounce back, give us the strength to get through it. As we trust in you and are empowered by you. Amen.